I backed away into the mud-slicked parking lot of St. Mary's Episcopal in Austin, Texas, the kind of place where magnolias bloomed defiant against the summer heat, and Sundays meant starched collars and whispered sins. It was July 2025, and the air hung heavy with humidity and hypocrisy, the sort that clings to your skin like regret. Emily's words weren't new. They'd been the family refrain since the day I came out, 2 years back, at 25, fresh off a bartending shift in East Austin, where the craft IPAs flow freer than apologies. Dad had found the Grinder app on my phone during a rare visit to my cramped apartment above a taqueria. "This what you're wasting your life on?" He'd barked, his rancher's hands, calloused from decades wrangling cattle on our family spread outside the city, shaking as he deleted it right there. I didn't fight back, just nodded, because fighting Dad was like wrestling a Texas Longhorn, futile and bound to leave you gored. He'd cut me off that night. No more calls, no invites to the annual 4th of July barbecue where the brisket smoked low and slow under the live oaks. Mom had passed 5 years earlier from breast cancer, the kind that sneaks up quiet and leaves you hollow, so it was just him and the kids, me, Emily, and our younger brother Jake, holding the frayed edges of the Blackwell legacy. Blackwell Farms wasn't just dirt and diesel. It was Dad's empire, 200 acres of prime hill country grazing land that supplied half the steakhouses in Austin with grass-fed beef. He'd built it from nothing after Vietnam, turning a scrap of inherited pasture into a name that meant something. And I'd thrown it away for a few stolen kisses in dive bar bathrooms. But blood calls you back, even when it's poisoned. I'd driven 3 hours from Dallas that morning, where I'd fled after the fallout, scraping by as a line cook at a hipster spot, slinging farm-to-table everything, because word got around fast in our circles. Dad's heart attack had come sudden, mid-conversation with a feed supplier, clutching his chest like he'd been bucked off a bronc one too many. The funeral was invite-only, they said. Family and friends. I wasn't either anymore. Emily slammed the car door of her gleaming F-150, the one Dad had bought her for her 30th last year, and peeled out, spraying gravel like shrapnel. I waited until the taillights faded into the gray veil of rain before slipping around to the side entrance, the one the florists used. Inside, the pews creaked under the weight of neighbors in their Sunday best, murmuring about how poor Harlan had gone too soon at 68. Uncle Roy, Dad's brother, wrapped up the eulogy with a Bible verse about prodigal sons, his eyes scanning the room like he expected me to materialize from the shadows. He didn't know I'd come. No one did, except maybe Caleb. Caleb Hayes. God, even thinking his name twisted something deep in my gut, a mix of ache and fire that no amount of cheap whiskey could drown. We'd grown up thick as thieves on the farm, him the son of Dad's foreman, me the heir apparent, racing dirt bikes across the pastures until the sun bled orange over the Pedernales River. He was the one who'd held my hand that first time, awkward and trembling, behind the hay barn when we were 17, his lips tasting like spearmint gum and stolen freedom. "This is us, Nate," he'd whispered. "Ain't nobody's business but ours." But secrets in a small town are like dry rot. They spread quiet until the whole structure caves. We'd lost touch after high school. He went to Texas A&M on a rodeo scholarship, came back bronzed and broad-shouldered, taking over his dad's role when the old man retired. I bolted for the city lights, chasing a life where love didn't come with footnotes. Last I'd heard, he was engaged to Emily's best friend from sorority days, some sorority girl named Tara who'd bake pies that won county fairs. Fitting, I thought bitterly, wiping rain from my eyes as I crouched in the vestibule. Caleb deserved the white picket fence, the 2.5 kids, the life Dad would have toasted with a Shiner Bock. The service ended in a hush of amens, and I melted into the crowd slipping out the front, keeping my Stetson low over my eyes. No one spotted me, not even when the procession snaked to Oakwood Cemetery, where the graves dated back to the Republic days, headstones etched with names that whispered of lost battles and harder winters. I watched from the tree lean as they lowered the cedar box into the earth, the preacher's words lost to the wind. Jake, all of 22 and still Dad's golden boy, tossed the first handful of dirt, his face carved from the same granite as our father's. Emily sobbed into Uncle Roy's shoulder, her blonde waves plastered by the drizzle. And Caleb, Jesus, Caleb, stood at the edge, hands in his pockets, staring at the hole like it might swallow him whole. Our eyes met for a split second across the distance, and something flickered there, recognition, maybe regret, before he looked away. I turned and walked back to my beat-up Tacoma, the engine coughing to life like it shared my exhaustion. The will reading was set for tomorrow at the family lawyer's office downtown, a formality I'd have no part in. Drive back to Dallas, I told myself, crank up some Willie Nelson, and let the highway blur the hurt. But as I merged onto I-35, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Lawyer's office. 10 a.m. Be there. See. My foot eased off the gas. Caleb. How he'd gotten my number didn't matter. In Texas, connections run deeper than aquifers. Part of me wanted to delete it, floor it north, leave the Blackwell name to rot like overripe peaches. But another part, the boy who'd once carved our initials into the riverbed oak, couldn't. Not yet. The next morning, I pulled into the parking garage of Ellis and Hargrove, LLP, the glass tower gleaming like it had no time for our small-town dramas. Suited up in my one good button-down, the one I'd worn to Mom's service, I felt like an imposter among the chrome and coffee scents. The receptionist, a woman with a bun tight as her smile, checked me in without a blink. Mr. Blackwell? They're expecting you. Expecting me? My pulse kicked like a mule. The conference room was all mahogany and muted grays, the kind of place where fortunes flipped without fanfare. Seated around the polished table, Uncle Roy, red-faced and fidgeting with his BOLO tie. Emily, lips pursed like she'd sucked a lemon. Jake, slouched in boyish confusion, and a handful of cousins I'd last seen at Christmas potlucks. No Caleb. The lawyer, Mr. Hargrove, silver-haired, voice like oiled leather, cleared his throat and began. Harlan Blackwell's last will and testament was straightforward. He'd said, debts settled, a few bequests to charities, the VFW, the local FFA chapter, and the bulk to his beloved children. Emily got the cabin in the hill country for family weekends. Jake, the truck collection. Uncle Roy, a stake in the mineral rights. Then Hargrove paused, adjusting his glasses, and the room went still as a held breath. To my eldest son, Nathan Elias Blackwell, he read, voice steady. I bequeath the entirety of Blackwell Farms, including all lands, livestock, equipment, and operational assets, in full and without encumbrance. It has always been yours, son. Make it mean something. The pen in Emily's hand snapped. Jake's jaw dropped like a trapdoor. Uncle Roy surged to his feet, chair scraping like nails on a chalkboard. This is a goddamn joke. Harlan wouldn't. Nathan hasn't set foot on that land in years. He trailed off, face purpling, the word he couldn't spit out hanging ugly in the air, faggot. I sat frozen, the words echoing in my skull like a ricochet. Dad had known. All this time, the silence, the banishment, it wasn't rejection. Or was it? My eyes burned, not from tears but from the impossibility of it. The farm, our farm, the one where I'd learned to rope calves at dawn, where Mom's laughter had echoed through the wildflowers. And now it was mine, dropped like a live grenade into my lap. Emily whirled on me, her voice a venomous hiss. You poisoned him against us. Whispered your perversions in his ear before he died. This isn't right, Nate. We're contesting this. All of us. The room erupted. Accusations flying like buckshot, everyone talking over each other about loyalty, about what Dad really wanted. I didn't speak. Couldn't. Because beneath the shock, a deeper cut festered. Why now? Why me after everything? As Hargrove called for order, promising paperwork and a 30-day window for challenges, the door opened. Caleb stepped in, late, his boots polished but his eyes shadowed. He didn't look at me. Not once. But as the family filed out in a storm of glares and mutters, he lingered, handing Hargrove a folder. Our gazes locked then, and in that beat, I saw it. The secret weed buried, clawing its way up like a drought-cracked riverbed. That night, back in my Dallas walk-up, the walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' arguments, the fridge humming like a lonely heartbeat. I paced the linoleum, beer in hand. The farm. What the hell was I supposed to do with it? Sell it off to some developer turning hill country into McMansions? Or go back, face the ghosts and the glares, prove I wasn't the mistake they all painted me as? Dad's words from the will looped in my head. Make it mean something. But nothing meant anything without him there to see it. My phone lit up again. Caleb. Ranch house. Midnight. We need to talk. I should have ignored it. Blocked him like I'd blocked Emily's voicemails. But midnight found me barreling south on the dark ribbon of highway, the dashboard glow casting my face in blues and accusations. The Blackwell gate loomed like a sentinel, the iron be twisted by years of weather. I parked under the pecan tree where we'd hung our first tire swing, the one that still creaked in the breeze. The house was dark, save for the porch light flickering like a hesitant confession. Caleb waited on the steps, flannel shirt unbuttoned at the collar, his jaw shadowed with stubble. You came, he said, voice rough as gravel. Couldn't not, I replied, stepping out into the cricket chorus. The air smelled of mesquite and memory, thick enough to choke on. He stood, slow, like we were both afraid of shattering the night. About the will. Nate, your dad, he called me a month ago. Told me everything. My heart stuttered. Everything. Caleb nodded, eyes dropping to the dirt. Said he'd been waiting for you to come around. That the farm was your birthright, no matter what. But he made me promise to watch out for you, if anything happened to him. A laugh barked out of me, bitter and broken. Watch out. You mean spy? Keep tabs on the queer son he couldn't stomach. No. Caleb's hand shot out, gripping my arm. Firm, electric, the first touch in 8 years that felt like home. He loved you, Nate. Always did. The silence. It was his way of protecting you from them. He jerked his head toward the family plot, invisible in the dark. From Roy, from Emily. He knew they'd turn on you if they knew the truth. The truth. It hung between us, heavier than the humidity. I pulled away, but not far. And you? What truth are you hiding, Cal? Tara? The ring I heard about. His face crumpled, just for a second, before the mask slipped back. Tara's. Complicated. But this, us, it's not over. Not if you don't want it to be. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to. But trust is a fragile thing in Texas, baked hard by sun and suspicion. Show me. I whispered, the words a dare, a plea. He did. Stepped closer, his hand finding mine, fingers lacing like they remembered the way. We didn't kiss, not yet. Just stood there, two shadows reclaiming the porch, while the stars wheeled overhead like indifferent witnesses. But in that moment, with the farm stretching dark and waiting behind us, I felt the first crack in the wall I'd built around my heart. Little did I know, it was just the prelude to the flood. Dawn broke over the farm like a reluctant apology, painting the pastures in pinks and golds that mocked the storm still raging in my chest. I'd crashed in the guest room after our midnight standoff, too wired to drive, too raw to leave. Caleb had slipped away before first light, murmuring something about chores and giving me space, his truck kicking up dust as he headed to the barn. I lay there, staring at the knotty pine ceiling, the scent of sagebrush and stale coffee seeping through the cracks. Dad's house felt alive with absence, every creak an echo of his boots on the hardwood, every shadow a reminder of the boy I'd been before the world demanded I choose sides. By 8, the text started. Emily first, this isn't over. We're meeting with Roy at the diner. You show your face, and God help you. Then Jake, hesitant, almost kind. Hey bro, what the hell? Call me. I ignored them both, brewing a pot in the ancient percolator that gurgled like it was on its last legs. The kitchen was a time capsule, formica counters scarred from decades of family suppers, the fridge humming with magnets from state fairs and fishing trips. A photo tacked to the corkboard caught my eye. Me and Dad at my high school graduation, arms slung around each other, grins wide as the Colorado River. He looked proud then. When had that changed? Or had it? Caleb's words gnawed at me, protecting you from them. If Dad had known about me, about the late-night drives to Austin's 6th Street clubs, the grinder hookups that left me emptier than before, why the radio silence? Why ban me from the life we'd built together? I poured coffee black as sin, the steam curling like questions, and stepped onto the back porch. The view hit me like a gut punch. Acres of Bermuda grass rolling to the horizon, dotted with longhorns that lowed lazy in the morning mist. This was mine now, but ownership felt like chains, not wings. The crunch of tires pulled me from my reverie. Not Caleb's Ford, but a sleek black Escalade. Uncle Roy's, the one he flaunted like a trophy from his oil consulting gigs in Houston. He climbed out, belly straining against his pearl-snap shirt, flanked by Emily and a man I didn't recognize, mid-40s, slick suit, briefcase that screamed ambulance chaser. My lawyer's senses tingled, though I'd never needed one until now. Nathan, Roy boomed, as if volume could claim territory. We need to talk. Family business. Emily crossed her arms, her yoga-toned frame rigid under designer jeans. Before you start playing Lord of the Manor. Dad didn't mean this. The suit cleared his throat. Mr. Blackwell, Nathan, I'm Douglas Klein, representing your uncle and sister in a potential challenge to the will. We'd like to discuss a settlement. Out of court. I leaned against the railing, sipping slow to buy time. Settlement. The word tasted like surrender. Come for coffee. I gestured inside, casual as barbed wire. They filed in like an invasion force, Roy claiming Dad's chair at the head of the table, Emily perching on the edge like she might bolt. Klein spread papers with the precision of a surgeon. It's simple, he began, voice smooth as bourbon. Your father was under duress in his final months. Medication, stress from the business. We can argue undue influence. The farm reverts to equal shares among siblings, with Roy overseeing operations as executor. Roy nodded, smug. Harlan was rambling, boy, talking about legacy and truths that don't make sense. You ain't run a ranch since you were knee-high. Emily's eyes flashed. And let's not pretend this is about fairness. It's about you waltzing back after abandoning us. After choosing that lifestyle over family. There it was, the grenade pin pulled. My grip tightened on the mug. Lifestyle? That's what you call it, Em? Loving who I love. Dad knew. And he chose me anyway. She flinched, but Roy barked a laugh. Knew? Harlan died ashamed of you. That's why he kept you away, spared the town the gossip. But now? This was a slap in the face. We're contesting, Nathan. And we'll drag every dirty secret into court if we have to. Secrets. The word landed like a spark on dry tinder. Did they know about Caleb? About the summers we'd spent swimming naked in the creek, laughing until our sides split? Or was it something darker, something Dad had confessed in his final hours? Klein slid a folder across, drafts of affidavits, witness lists. My name topped one, circled in red. Nathan Blackwell, estranged due to moral conflicts. Moral conflicts. Christ. I flipped it shut, heat rising in my cheeks. Get out. All of you. The farm's mine, legal and binding. You want to fight? You'll get one. They left in a huff, Roy muttering about ungrateful whelps as the escalade roared off. I sank into a chair, head in hands, the coffee gone cold. The weight of it all pressed down. The land, the legacy, the lies we'd all told to keep the peace. But peace was a coward's truce, and I was done running. Caleb found me there an hour later, elbow deep in Dad's desk drawers, unearthing ledgers yellowed with age and letters tied in twine. He knocked soft on the jamb, hat in hand. Heard the commotion. Roy's escalade ain't subtle. I straightened, dust motes dancing in the shaft of light from the window. They're coming for it, Cal. The whole damn thing. He crossed the room in 3 strides, close enough I could smell the hay and honest sweat on him. Let him try. Your dad was sharp as a tack till the end. Hargrove's ironclad. But why? I demanded, voice cracking. Why leave it to me after everything? Caleb hesitated, then pulled an envelope from his back pocket. Cream stock, sealed with Dad's old wax stamp, a running horse. He gave me this. For you. Said to wait till after the reading. My fingers trembled as I took it. Nathan, my boy. Simple as that. I slid it open, unfolding the single sheet. Dad's scrawl filling the page in blue ballpoint, the ink bleeding slightly where tears, or sweat, had dotted the paper. Son, if you're reading this, I'm dirt under your boots. Good. Means you came back. I ain't been much of a father these last years. Too stubborn, too scared of what the neighbors say. But I knew, Nate. About you and Cal. About the city lights calling you away. Thought if I pushed hard enough, you'd stay the course, take the farm like I planned. But pushing just built walls. The truth? I was proud. Of your grit, your heart. Even when it beat for him. Roy and Em, they're vultures, son. Always have been. Protect what's yours. And forgive an old man his silence. Love always, Dad. The paper blurred. I pressed it to my chest, a sob ripping free. Raw, Ugly, the kind that hollows you out. Caleb's arms came around me then, strong and sure, pulling me against his chest. He saw you, Nate. All of you. We stood like that, the office fading to a hush, his heartbeat sinking with mine through the thin cotton of our shirts. It wasn't passion, not yet, just solace, the kind that stitches wounds you didn't know were gaping. But as his chin rested on my head, whispering nonsense comforts, I felt the stirrings of something deeper, a romance we'd deferred like a bad debt. Yet even in that embrace, doubt whispered, what if Caleb's promises were as conditional as the family's love? The days blurred into a tense standoff. Emily filed the challenge that week, citing diminished capacity and dredging up psych evals from Dad's hospital stay. The town buzzed, gossip at the feed store, side eyes at the HEB. I hired a lawyer on contingency, a bulldog named Lena from Austin's queer legal aid, who promised to bury them in precedence. Caleb stuck close, handling the day-to-day, mending fences, literal and otherwise, negotiating with suppliers who'd rather deal with Roy. Nights, we'd sit on the porch with lanterns and long necks, trading stories of what we'd lost. He'd talk about Tara, the engagement a shield, a way to dodge his own truths after I left. Thought you'd never look back, he'd say, voice thick. So I built a life that fit the lie. I'd reach for his hand then, tracing the calluses from roping steers, and wonder if we could rewrite ours. But the farm wasn't just land, it was a battlefield. One evening, as thunderheads piled like accusations on the horizon, Jake showed up alone, his truck idling like he might flee. Em's lost it, Nate, he said, slumping onto the steps, a six-pack dangling from his fingers. Says you're stealing our birthright. But I read the will. Dad meant it. We cracked beers, the foam hissing like secrets spilling. Jake was the baby, shielded from the worst of our family's fractures. Mom's illness, my coming out. You think I hate you? He asked, eyes earnest under the brim of his cap. Nah, it's just, everything's changing. Dad gone, you back like a ghost. And Caleb. He stopped, glancing away. My gut twisted. Caleb what? Jake shrugged, too casual. Nothing. Just. He's been weird lately. Distant with Tara. Folks talk. Jealousy flared, hot and irrational. Caleb and I hadn't crossed that line. Not fully. Stolen touches, lingering looks, but the ghost of betrayal loomed. What if he was playing both sides, hedging bets like the family always did? I brushed it off, clinking bottles with Jake, but the seed took root. The real storm hit 2 weeks in, at the preliminary hearing in Travis County Courthouse. The room smelled of polished oak and desperation, air conditioning humming against the July swelter. Emily took the stand first, tear-streaked and tragic, swearing Dad had confided his disappointment in me. Nathan abandoned us, she sobbed. Chose. Outsiders over blood. Outsiders. The word landed like a slur, and the gallery, packed with locals, murmured assent. Roy followed, blustering about financial mismanagement, how I'd run off to sin in the city. Klein wove it tight. Dad's will, a deathbed delusion fueled by painkillers. My turn came, and Lena coached me. Short, sweet, human. But as I swore in, facing the judge, a stern woman with a bun like coiled steel, the dam broke. My father loved this family, I said, voice steady at first. But he saw through the bullshit. He knew who I am. A gay man. Yeah, but his son first. And he trusted me with his legacy because he believed in second chances. Gasps rippled. Emily's face went ashen. But it was Caleb's testimony that gutted me. Called as a character witness for the defense, Dad's foreman, the loyal hand. He took the stand in starched Wranglers and a crisp white shirt, looking every inch the straight arrow Texan. Harlan was clear-headed till the end. Caleb said, eyes on the Bible, not me. He told me the farm was Nathan's. No doubts. Klein cross-examined, sly as a fox. And your relationship with the beneficiary, Mr. Hayes? Close friends, I hear. Childhood sweethearts, some might say. Caleb's jaw ticked. Friends. That's all. The lie hit like a slap. Childhood sweethearts? He'd as good as outed us, then denied it. My chest caved, betrayal blooming cold and sharp. Lena objected, the judge sustained, but the damage stuck. Whispers of impropriety, of me buying loyalty with land. After, in the hallway, Emily cornered me, eyes wild. See? Even Caleb knows your poison. Tara told me. He's ashamed of whatever y'all had. Stay away from him, Nate. For once. I shoved past, storming to the parking lot where Caleb waited by his truck. What the fuck was that? I hissed, grabbing his collar. Sweethearts? You hung me out to dry. He winced, prying my hands loose. Had to, Nate. Protect the farm. Protect us. If they knew. Us. I laughed hollow. There is no us, Cal. Not when you lie under oath. He reached for me, desperate. Nate, please. I jerked back, the courthouse marble cold under my boots. Go back to Tara. To the life that fits. I'm done chasing ghosts. I drove off, tires screeching, the farm receding in my rear view like a dream turning sour. But as the city lights swallowed me, doubt gnawed. Was the betrayal his, or mine for believing in redemption? Dallas welcomed me back with open arms and in different traffic, the skyline a jagged promise of anonymity amid the sprawl. I holed up in my apartment, the one with the leaky faucet and the view of a brick wall, ignoring Lena's calls about next steps in the will contest. The farm felt like a phantom limb, aching, useless without the nerve to reclaim it. Nights bled into days, marked by shifts at the restaurant where the sizzle of skillets drowned out the echo of Caleb's voice. Friends. That's all. Lies. All of it. Dad's letter burned a hole in my nightstand drawer, its words a taunt. Forgive an old man his silence. But forgiveness was a luxury I couldn't afford, not when every memory twisted into accusation. Tara reached out on day 5, a number I didn't recognize but a voice I placed from high school pep rallies. Cheerful, edged with something brittle. Nathan? It's Tara Hayes. Well, soon to be, I guess. Can we meet? Coffee at Union Coffee on Magnolia? I almost hung up. What did she want, Recon? A warning shot from the front lines? But curiosity, that old Texas vice, won out. Union Coffee was a hipster haven in the design district, all exposed brick and pour-overs that cost more than gas. She waited at a corner table, blonde waves cascading like she'd stepped from a Tractor Supply ad, her sundress modest, but her eyes sharp as she stirred almond milk into her latte. Thanks for coming, she said, no preamble. Caleb's. Not himself. Since the funeral. Since you. My guard spiked. If this is about the will. It's not. She leaned in, voice dropping. It's about him. Us. The mess we made pretending. Pretending. The word unlocked something, a floodgate of parallels. I sipped my black coffee, bitter as truth. What do you mean? Tara's laugh was soft, sad. We got engaged because it was easy. Small town, you know. His dad pushed, settle down, give me grandkids. And after you left, he broke, Nate. Drank too much, rode too hard. I was the Band-Aid. Safe. But he never loved me. Not like that. My throat tightened. Then why? The testimony. She winced. He called me after. Said he lied to protect you. From the scandal. From me finding out. Her eyes met mine, clear and unflinching. I know about y'all. Always have. Saw you once, by the creek. Kids sneaking smokes. But it was more. I kept quiet because, hell, I loved him enough to let him hurt. Guilt crashed over me, wave after wave. Tara wasn't the villain. She was collateral, same as Jake, same as the farmhands who'd watched us grow from colts to this. I'm sorry, I murmured, meaning it. For everything. She reached across, squeezing my hand, platonic, absolving. Don't be. End it right, Nathan. For him. Tell him the truth before Roy Sharks tear it all apart. I left with her words ringing, the coffee sour in my gut. The truth. What was it anymore? That I loved Caleb still, fierce and foolish? That dad's gift wasn't land, but a chance to rebuild on honest ground? Or that I'd run again, because staying meant facing the ugliness, the family's bigotry, the town's judgment, the mirror that showed a man too scarred to hold what's offered? The hearing loomed 2 weeks out, Lena emailing depositions like grenades. Emily's camp dug deep. Old voicemails from my city days, blurry photos from Austin Pride I'd posted on a private Insta. Klein spun it as lifestyle evidence of instability, arguing I'd sell the farm to fund excesses. Roy even roped in Pastor Ellis from St. Mary's, swearing Dad had confessed sorrow over Nathan's choices in a pre-death visit. Lies, all of it, but in a courtroom, perception was king. I drove back to the farm unannounced, the highway a blur of mesquite and billboards for Whataburger. Caleb was in the arena, breaking a young colt, the horse bucking wild under the sun, dust devils swirling like furies. He spotted me from the fence, reining in with a nod to the ranch hand. Dismounted graceful as ever, wiping sweat from his brow with a forearm tanned to leather. "Figured you'd stay gone," he said, voice neutral, but his eyes, storm gray and searching, betrayed the bluff. "Couldn't." I climbed the rails, perching like we had as kids. The colt snorted, stamping. Tara talked to me. His shoulders sagged, the fight draining. "She had no right. She's setting you free, Cal. Us, maybe." I jumped down, closing the distance, the heat between us thicker than the August air. "But I need the truth. All of it. The engagement, the lie in court. Why?" He untied the reins, leading the horse toward the barn, me falling in step. "Truth? I was scared. After you left, I thought I'd lost my chance. Tara was armor. Kept Dad off my back, kept the questions at bay. And the will, testifying, outing us? It'd kill the farm. Roy'd use it to paint you as predator, me as pawn." Predator. The word stung fresh. "Is that what you think I am?" "No." He halted, turning fierce. "Never. You're the best damn thing that ever happened to me, Nate. But this world's built to break us. Dad knew. Told me once, over whiskey, love ain't the sin, son. Hiding it is." We stabled the colt in silence, the rhythm of brushing flanks a meditation. His hand brushed mine over the currycomb, lingering. "Stay," he murmured. "Fight with me." I wanted to. God, the pull was magnetic, his scent of horse and earth, the curve of his neck where a pulse fluttered. But doubt lingered, a shadow at noon. What if we lose? The land, the name, everything. Then we build new. Together. The kiss came then, inevitable as rain. Slow at first, tentative, his lips soft against mine, tasting of salt and second chances. My hands found his waist, pulling him close, the barn wall cool at my back. It deepened, hungry but restrained, a reclaiming not a conquest. When we broke, foreheads pressed, I whispered, "I'm in." But romance is a fragile bloom in Texas soil, and the thorns waited. That night, as fireflies danced in the pastures, Jake called, voice shaking. "Nate, found something. In Dad's safe. Letters. From you. To Caleb. Old ones, from college. She's got Klein. They're amending the suit. Undue influence. On Dad. From your relationship." My blood iced. Those letters, drunken confessions I'd mailed in a haze of homesickness, pouring out love and longing. I'd forgotten them, buried under years. Now they were ammunition, proof of manipulation spanning decades. Caleb overheard, face paling. "Burn him? We can." "No." I gripped his arm, resolve hardening. "We face it. All of it." The amended filing hit like a Nor'wester. Claims I'd seduced Caleb to sway Dad, that the will was payback in a lover's quarrel. The press caught wind, local rags splashing headlines. Blackwell Air's secret affair rocks family ranch. Protests brewed at the farm gate. Church ladies with signs reading Sodom in the saddle. Roy fanning the flames from his bully pulpit at the Rotary Club. I cracked then, the weight too much. Paced the porch at midnight, Caleb asleep inside. His snores a counterpoint to my unraveling. Call Lena? Flee to Canada, like those queer activists I'd read about in the Pulse aftermath? Or confront Emily, appeal to the sister who'd once braided my hair and shared secrets under the covers? Dawn decided it. I drove to her McMansion in Westlake Hills, the kind of suburb where lawns are manicured and morals optional. She answered the door in Lululemon, coffee mug in hand, eyes widening at the sight of me, disheveled, desperate. Please. The letters, it's not what you think." She blocked the threshold, voice steel. "Not what I think. You corrupted him, Nate. Dad, our dad, he covered for you. And Caleb? My best friend's fiancé? You're a homewrecker." "He's not." "I know." Her laugh cracked. Tara called it off. Said he's in love with a ghost. You. Guilt and fury ward. Then let it go. For Dad. For us. She slammed the door, but not before I saw the tear track her cheek. Sisters don't sever easy, but roots rot when poisoned. Back at the farm, Caleb waited with news. Roy had poached half the hands, offering better pay to loyal folk. The fences sagged, cows straying. "We're bleeding," he said, map spread on the kitchen table. If we lose the hearing, we won't. But my voice wavered. That night, under a harvest moon, we walked the back 40, his hand in mine a lifeline. Remember the river? He asked, voice soft. That summer we floated all day, dreaming of California? I nodded, throat tight. Yeah, thought we'd run forever. We can still. He stopped, turning me to face him, the moonlight silvering his features. Win or lose, Nate. You and me. The kiss was deeper this time, laced with the tang of fear, his hands framing my face, mine tangling in his hair, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. It spoke of futures fragile as eggshell, of love defiant against the tide. But as we broke apart, a coyote's howl split the night, omen or echo, and I wondered if we'd weather the storm or shatter on its rocks. The hearing dawned brutal, skies leaden with threat. Courthouse packed tighter than a rodeo, locals spilling into the hall. Lena opened strong. Dad's medical records pristine, no duress. The letters, private missives from a grieving son. But Klein countered vicious, projecting scans of my words on a screen. I miss you like air, Cal. Come claim me. Gasps, jeers. Emily testified last, voice breaking. He tore our family. Dad died knowing his legacy'd go to this. Caleb's rebuttal was fire. Those letters? Love, pure. Harlan read him, smiled, said, boys got heart. But the judge's gavel fell like judgment. Continuance. Evidence review. Weeks of limbo. I fled to the truck, Caleb chasing. Nate. Leave it. I roared, slamming the door. Betrayal anew. Not his, but the system's, the town's, my own for hoping. I sped north, radio blasting Springsteen. Tramps like us, baby, we were born to run. Dallas swallowed me, but the ache followed. Days turned to a haze of shifts and shots, until Lena's call, good news. Judge dismissed. Farm's yours. Joy should have surged. Instead, hollowness. I drove south at dusk, the farm gates open like arms. Caleb waited on the porch, alone, Tara's ring gone from his finger. You're back, he breathed. For the land, I lied, stepping close. Truth, for him, for us. But as we embraced, Emily's truck crested the hill, not with Roy, but Jake, in a box. Dad's things, she said, voice small. For you. Inside, photos, ledgers, a final note. Fight fair, kids. Blood's blood. Tears came then, collective, cathartic. Emily hugged me, awkward, fierce. I'm sorry, Nate. For all of it. Forgiven, I whispered. The family fractured, but mending, slow as dawn. The farm settled into an uneasy rhythm after the dust up, like a horse after a hard ride. Panting, but pointed forward. Emily kept her distance, but the venom leached out. She dropped by with Jake for Sunday suppers, tentative at first, passing cornbread without eye contact, then easing into talk of calving seasons and Austin traffic. Roy slunk back to Houston. His challenge crumbled under the judge's ruling. No appeal. Hardrove had buried it in legalese thicker than sorghum syrup. The hands trickled back, lured by back pay and my promise. No more Blackwell bullshit. We're building fair. Caleb and I. We danced around the edges of what we'd rekindled, touches lingering longer, nights stretching on the porch with guitars and ghost stories. The romance bloomed quiet. Him teaching me to mend irrigation lines at dawn, me cooking chili from Mom's recipe, spicy enough to make him whoop. One evening, as cicadas chorused their electric hymn, he pulled me into the hayloft, the scent of Timothy sweet and sharp. Marry me, Nate, he said, no ring, just his heart in his eyes. Not for show, for real. I kissed him then, deep and devouring, our bodies entwining in the soft glow of lantern light. A union of souls, tender and true, without the frenzy of desperation. Afterward, tangled in blankets, his head on my chest, I whispered, yes, but on our terms. No hiding. The wedding was small, defiant. Under the riverbed oak, officiated by Lena in a pantsuit sharp as her wit. Jake best man, Emily matron of honor, her smile genuine if guarded. Tara sent wildflowers from her new life in San Antonio, a gallery gig that let her paint the sunsets she chased. The town grumbled. Pastor Ellis boycotted. The feed store owner crossed the street, but others surprised. Old Mrs. Delgado from the taqueria, bearing tamales. The feed supplier, clapping Caleb on the back with a gruff, "About time, boys." Life carved grooves after that, deep but durable. We expanded the farm organic, selling direct to Austin co-ops. The label Blackwell Heartland, a nod to Dad's quiet pride. Conflicts lingered, of course. Emily's flare-ups when queer activists picketed the State House, her liberal guilt clashing with conservative roots. Jake's coming out a year later, soft-spoken over Thanksgiving turkey, met with our arms open and her tears reluctant. Like father, like sons, she'd mutter, but hugged him fierce. Betrayals? They surfaced in waves. One spring, digging fence posts, we unearthed a cache. Dad's wore letters to Mom, raw with doubt and devotion. "Love's the only fight worth dying for," he'd written. It gutted Caleb, who'd carried Vietnam's shadow unspoken, nightmares of his granddad's tales. We fought then, ugly, me pushing for therapy, him retreating to the bottle. "You don't get it," he'd snarled, whiskey breath hot. "Some scars don't heal. Try." I begged, the misunderstanding a chasm. I saw weakness in his walls, he saw judgment in my pleas. The climax crashed that night. Him storming to the truck, keys jangling, me blocking the door. "Run if you want, but you're running from us." He deflated, collapsing against me, sobs shaking his frame. "Scared I'll break you. Like I break everything." We mended slow, couples counseling in Austin, walks where he shared fragments, Agent Orange ghosts, the fear of not being man enough. Depth came in layers, his vulnerability a gift, my patience the forge. Anger flared, at the VA wait lists, at a society that equated stoicism with strength, but empathy followed, softening the edges. I held him through it, our love a bulwark, humanistic in its grit, flawed folks fighting for grace. The unexpected high came harvest that fall, a norther blowing crisp and clean. We'd invited the community, a potluck under strung lights, brisket slow-smoked, bluegrass band from the college. Skeptics came wary, but left warmed. Mrs. Ellis, pastor's wife, cornering me with a quiet, "Harlan, be proud." Even Roy showed, uninvited, nursing a beer in the shadows. "Heard you're making a go," he grunted, before slipping away. No apology, but a nod. Progress, Texas style. Yet the by-kitch shadowed us, inevitable as sunset. Dad's cancer, undiagnosed till too late, mirrored Mom's, a genetic thief. We caught it early, scans in Houston confirming stage 2, treatable but tenacious. Chemo hit Caleb like a freight train, nausea, rage, the mirror showing a man hollowed. "Not fair," he'd rasp, "for dripping. Just got you." I'd stroke his hand, steady. We fight. Together. Misunderstandings peaked mid-treatment. A bad night, him lashing out. "Go, Nate. Find someone whole, rooted in fear, not truth." I stormed to the porch, fan no boiling. How dare he push when I'd given everything? But dawn brought clarity, dawn cam flooding. He wasn't rejecting me. He was terrified of leaving me burdened. The climax twisted unexpected, a false negative, doc saying remission, us whooping in the hospital lot like we'd won the derby. But joy soured weeks later. Mets to the liver, stage 4. The room spun, our world contracting to beeps and brochures. Emily drove through, Jake bunked in. Even Tara flew back, sketching portraits to capture his fire. Caleb's decline was a thief in slow motion. Days of lucidity laced with fog, his hand weak, but seeking mine. "Write our story," he murmured one dusk, the farm golden beyond the window. "For the Jakes out there. Love wins, Nate. Messy, but it does." I nodded, throat barbed, penning letters in stolen moments. Tales of 2 boys under oaks, of wills that bent but didn't break. His last breath came at dawn, river light filtering through blinds, my name on his lips like a prayer. The funeral was ours. Oak Grove, boots and Stetsons, a fiddler playing wagon wheel. Emily eulogized, voice steady. "Caleb taught us love's no straight line." I buried him by Dad, under the carved initials, the earth soft with forgiveness. Months blurred, farm running on autopilot, me a ghost in my own skin. Betrayal stung fresh. Why him? Why now? But depth bloomed in grief's soil. Support groups in Austin, where stories mirrored mine. Jake stepping up, his quiet strength an echo of Caleb's. Emily confessed over coffee. I was scared of losing more. But you showed me grace. The humanistic close came unbidden, a year on. Calving season, a full birth under stars, strong, stubborn, eyes like cows. I named her Hope, watched her nurse, the cycle unbroken. Sold? Never. The land held us. Me, the family, the love that lingered. Nights, I'd sit with guitar, strumming our song, the one we'd hummed by the creek. Anger ebbed to ache, to gratitude. Dad was right. Make it mean something. Caleb too. Love wins, messy but mighty. And in that American heartland, flawed, fierce, forever, I lived it. For them. For us.